Close your eyes, let your shoulders drop, and let your breath find a slow rhythmic pace. In and out. Allow the noise of the present day to fade into the background, becoming nothing more than a distant hum. We are about to embark on a journey, not across space but through time, drifting back to an era when the night was truly dark, and the silence of the world was vast and deep. Imagine you are lying on the cooling sands of a vast desert thousands of years ago. The air is crisp, and the ground beneath you holds the last warmth of the setting sun. Above you, the sky is not merely a backdrop, it is a living, breathing presence. It is a dome of velvet obsidian, studded with diamonds so bright they seem to hum with energy. There are no city lights to dim them. There is only you, the earth, and the infinite theater of the heavens. For our ancestors, the sky was the first great mystery. It was the original screen upon which humanity projected its deepest fears, its highest hopes, and its most profound questions. Before there were maps of the land, there were maps of the stars. Before there were kings on thrones of wood and gold, there were rulers seated on the constellations. Before we begin tonight's story, take a gentle moment to support the channel. If these stories help you relax, please like this video and subscribe for more peaceful nights. And in the comments, tell me where you're listening from and what time it is in your world. Your presence here means more than you know. As we drift through the centuries tonight, we will explore this relationship between the earth and the sky. We will walk the streets of ancient cities where ziggurats climbed toward the clouds. We will stand on the banks of the Nile, watching the sun god board his golden barge. We will ascend the thin air of the Andes to see how the Inca tethered the sun to the earth. This is a story of how humanity sought to understand the forces that govern the rain, the wind, and the turning of the seasons. But it is also a story of order. To the ancient mind, the sky was the ultimate symbol of perfection, while life on earth was chaotic, full of floods, droughts, and uncertainty. The stars moved with absolute precision. The sun rose and set without fail. The moon waxed and waned in a rhythm as steady as a heartbeat. The beings who inhabited this upper realm, the sky gods, were the architects of this order. They were the celestial parents, the distant judges, and the providers of life-giving rain. To understand them is to understand the very foundation of civilization itself. As we begin this quiet conquest of knowledge, let your mind become like that ancient sky, vast, open, and peaceful. We are not rushing. We are simply observing. We are witnessing the birth of the divine in the patterns of the clouds and the path of the planets. Picture the very first observers. Long before the Great Pyramids or the stone circles, there were the Paleolithic wanderers. They sat by crackling fires, the sparks drifting upward to join the stars. To them, the sky was perhaps a great animal, a sprawling bison with a hide of stars, or a river of milk flowing across the dark expanse. They did not build temples of stone. Their temple was the horizon itself. But as humanity settled, as we planted seeds and waited for the harvest, the sky took on a new urgency. The farmer does not just admire the clouds, he needs them. He watches the position of the Pleiades, a cluster of 7 bright stars, to know when to sow the wheat. He fears the storm that can flatten his crops, and he rejoices in the gentle rain that coaxes life from the soil. Thus, the sky god evolved. No longer just a spirit of the hunt, the sky god became the guarantor of the harvest, the keeper of calendars, and the king of kings. In the chapters that follow, we will travel to the cradles of civilization. We will see how the Babylonians measured the heavens with mathematics that we still use today. We will visit the Greeks, who saw the sky as a turbulent family drama. We will trek through the jungles of Mesoamerica, where the movement of Venus determined the fate of empires. All of these cultures, separated by oceans and millennia, looked up at the same moon. They traced different pictures in the stars, but they felt the same awe. And tonight, that awe is yours to share. Feel the weight of gravity holding you gently to the earth, just as it held the Sumerians and the Egyptians. You are part of this long lineage of stargazers. The sky above you is the same sky they worshipped. It is a bridge across time. So let us begin our ascent. The first rung of the ladder awaits. We travel first to the land between the rivers, to the place where history began, and where the first great temples rose to meet the silence of the stars. We drift now to the fertile plains of Mesopotamia, largely located in modern-day Iraq. The name itself, Mesopotamia, comes from the Greek words for middle and river. This is the land sandwiched between the Tigris and the Euphrates. Imagine the landscape here. It is flat, incredibly flat. There are no mountains to break the horizon, no natural cliffs to climb closer to the gods. There is only the endless stretch of alluvial soil, rich and dark, and the wide, open bowl of the sky. In such a flat world, anything vertical becomes sacred. It is here around 4000 BCE that the Sumerians established the first true cities, Uruk, Eridu. These were not mere villages, but bustling metropolises of mud-brick architecture, crisscrossed by canals that shimmered under the harsh sun. To the Sumerian mind, the universe was a cosmic state, a hierarchy, and at the very top of this hierarchy sat Anu, the god of the sky. Anu was the personification of the heavens in their most abstract form. He was the vast, overarching dome that covered the world. Interestingly, Anu was often described as a distant figure. Unlike the gods of the earth who meddled in daily affairs, Anu was the supreme authority, the father of the gods who dwelt in the highest level of heaven. He was the great bull, his horns the crescent moon, his eyes the sun and moon. Because he was so high and so distant, he was rarely worshipped directly by the common people. He was a god for other gods. He was the source of all authority. When a king was crowned in the city of Uruk, he claimed to hold the kingship of Anu. To rule on earth was to mirror the order of the sky. But how do you reach a god who lives in the highest heaven when you live on the flat plains? You build a mountain. Visualize the ziggurat. This is the defining architectural achievement of Mesopotamia. It is not a tomb like the Egyptian pyramids we will see later. It is a stairway, built of sun-baked mud bricks at the core and fired bricks on the exterior. The ziggurat rises in step terraces, getting smaller as it ascends. Picture the ziggurat of Ur. It is a massive structure dominating the city skyline. Its walls are not straight but slope slightly inward, giving an impression of immense solidity and weight. At the very top sits a small temple, a sanctuary clad in blue glazed tiles to mirror the color of the sky. This high temple was considered the waiting room of the god. The priests believed that at night the deity would descend from the heavens and rest in this high chamber. The ziggurat was an axis mundi, a connection point between the earth and the celestial realm. Now imagine the atmosphere of this ancient land. The heat is intense, the air shimmers. But in the evening, a breeze picks up. This brings us to another crucial figure in the Mesopotamian sky, Enlil. If Anu was the distant sky, Enlil was the active atmosphere. He was the lord of the air, the wind, and the storm. Enlil was the energy that filled the space between the ground and the heavens. He was a god of separation. In their mythology, it was Enlil who separated the earth from the sky, creating the space in which humans could live and breathe. Enlil was powerful and sometimes frightening. In a land where flash floods could wipe out a city in a day, the mood of the storm god was a matter of life and death. The Sumerians described his word as a storm which destroys stables. Yet, he was also the one who brought the rain that filled the Tigris and Euphrates. He was the force of execution, the active manager of the world. As we move forward in time, from the Sumerians to the Babylonians who rose to power later in the 2nd millennium BCE, the focus of the sky shifts. The Babylonians were the great astronomers of the ancient world. They did not just worship the sky, they studied it with obsessive precision. Imagine a Babylonian priest standing atop the ziggurat of Etemenanki in the dead of night. He holds a clay tablet and a stylus made of reed. He is not looking for spiritual visions alone. He is looking for data. He tracks the movement of a wandering star, what we know today as the planet Jupiter. To him, this bright light is Marduk, the patron god of Babylon. Marduk's rise to power is a story of order conquering chaos. In the Babylonian creation epic, the Enuma Elish, the universe begins in a state of watery chaos, personified by the dragon goddess Tiamat. Tiamat represents the salt water, the uncontrolled deep, the storm of confusion. Marduk, the young champion of the gods, battles her. He defeats Tiamat, and then, in a beautiful act of cosmic architecture, he splits her body in two. With one half, he creates the earth. With the other half, he forms the sky. He sets up the stars as stations for the great gods. He creates the calendar, determining the year and the months. This is a profound shift. The sky is no longer just a natural phenomenon. It is a construction, a masterpiece of engineering built by the god of order. Marduk organizes the constellations, the likenesses of gods, to ensure that time itself runs smoothly. The Babylonians developed the zodiac, the circle of animals, to map the path of the sun and planets. When you read a horoscope today, you are touching the distant legacy of these Babylonian sky watchers. They divided the sky into 360 degrees, a system we still use for circles and compasses. They gave us the 60-minute hour. Every time you look at a clock, you are using the mathematics of the Babylonian sky priests. Let us pause for a moment and reflect on the daily life of a person living under this sky. You are a farmer in the outskirts of Babylon. Your house is made of reed and mud. You possess a small cylinder seal, a stone cylinder carved with intricate images. When you roll it across wet clay, it leaves your signature. The image on your seal might show a scene of worship, a human figure standing before a seated god, the crescent moon and the sun disk hovering in the space between them. You wear this seal around your neck as a talisman. It connects you to the cosmic order. You know that if you work hard, maintain the irrigation canals, and offer the proper libations of beer and grain to the temple, the gods will keep the stars in their courses. The sky is not empty space to you. It is a script. It is a tablet written by the gods, full of omens. A halo around the moon might predict the death of a king. An eclipse might foretell a war. The world is interconnected, as above, so below. As the sun sets over the Euphrates, painting the river in shades of copper and violet, you feel a sense of stability. The ziggurat glows in the twilight, a man-made mountain anchoring the city to the heavens. The stars begin to appear one by one, the same stars that Marduk set in place. There is comfort in this structure. The gods are high above, yes, but they have given humanity the tools to understand their will. Mathematics, writing, and the calendar. The chaos of the dark is held back by the geometry of the mind. Breathe in this sense of order. The heavy, warm air of Mesopotamia settles around you. The sound of the river is a constant, soothing rush. The sky is a protective dome, a roof over the house of the world. We leave the land of the two rivers now. We drift west, across the Arabian sands, toward another great river and another great civilization. Here the sky is not a distant dome, but a daily journey. Here the gods do not just sit in the heavens, they sail across them. We drift now, carried by the currents of history, away from the Tigris and Euphrates. We cross the arid silence of the Arabian Peninsula and arrive at the banks of the world's longest river, the Nile. Here, the landscape changes. It is a ribbon of vivid emerald green slicing through a sea of golden sand. In ancient Egypt, the division between life and death was clear. There was the Kemet, the black land of fertile soil, and the Deshret, the red land of the harsh desert. And above it all stretched a sky of piercing clarity. To the ancient Egyptians, the sky was not a distant, abstract father figure like Anu. The sky was a mother. Her name was Nut. Visualize her as she appears in the paintings inside the royal tombs of the Valley of the Kings. Nut is depicted as a giant, beautiful woman, her body painted blue and covered in stars. She arches her back over the earth, her hands touching the western horizon, her feet touching the eastern horizon. She is the dome of the heavens, a protective embrace that encompasses the entire world. The earth beneath her is her husband, Geb, the god of the ground. They are separated by the air, Shu, who holds Nut up, creating the atmosphere in which humanity lives. This image tells us something profound about the Egyptian mindset. The universe was a family. The sky was not a cold void. It was a womb. It was a vessel of rebirth. The most vital drama of the Egyptian sky was the daily journey of the sun god Ra. Imagine standing on the west bank of the Nile at dawn. The air is cool, and the river is smooth as glass. Suddenly, the horizon ignites. The sun disk breaks the line of the earth. For the Egyptians, this was not merely a celestial mechanic. It was a victory. Ra was believed to travel across the body of the sky goddess in a boat, a solar bark. In the morning, he boards the Manjet, the boat of millions of years. He is accompanied by a crew of other deities who help him navigate the celestial waters. They sail high above the clouds, looking down upon the temples and the fields. The sun was the ultimate source of Ma'at. Ma'at is a concept difficult to translate into a single English word. It means truth, balance, order, harmony, and cosmic justice. It is the opposite of chaos. When the sun rose, Ma'at was re-established. The world was washed clean of the dangers of the dark. As the day wears on and the sun begins to dip toward the west, Ra transfers to his evening boat, the Mesektet. The sunset in Egypt is spectacular, a riot of violet, orange, and blood red. But for the ancients, this was a time of anxiety. The sun was dying. Ra was entering the western gate, descending into the Duat, the underworld. The night was not just an absence of light, it was a dangerous journey. Ra had to sail his boat through 12 gates, one for each hour of the night. He had to battle the serpent Apep, the embodiment of chaos who sought to swallow the sun and plunge the world into eternal darkness. But every night Ra triumphed. Every morning he was reborn. This cyclical rhythm of birth, death, and rebirth was the heartbeat of Egyptian civilization. It promised that death was not the end, but merely a transition, a sunset before a sunrise. This connection to the sky is etched into the very stone of Egypt. Look at the pyramids of Giza. We often think of them as tombs, which they were, but they were also machines of resurrection. The shape of the pyramid, the Ben-Ben, mimics the angle of the sun's rays breaking through the clouds. The pyramid was a ramp. The pharaoh, upon his death, was expected to ascend this ramp of stone to join Ra in his boat. The pyramid texts, carved into the walls of earlier tombs, give the king instructions. You have not gone away dead. You have gone away alive. The king climbs to the sky among the imperishable stars. The Egyptians were master observers. They did not have telescopes, but they had patience. They noticed that the flooding of the Nile, the event that allowed them to grow food, coincided perfectly with the reappearance of a specific star. They called this star Sopdet, known to the Greeks as Sothis, and to us as Sirius. It is the brightest star in the night sky. For 70 days each year, Sirius disappears behind the sun. Then, just before dawn in midsummer, it glimmers briefly on the eastern horizon before the sun rises. This is called the heliacal rising. When the priests saw Sirius return, they knew the waters of the Nile would soon rise. The sky and the river were linked. The star was the herald of abundance. Let us walk now into the hypostyle hall of the Temple of Karnak. It is midday. The sun beats down outside, but inside, among the forest of massive stone columns, it is cool and dim. The columns are carved to look like papyrus reeds, the ceiling painted blue with gold stars. Walking into the temple was like walking into a marsh at the beginning of creation. The light filters in through high clerestory windows, cutting through the incense smoke in distinct beams. The priests here are shaving their bodies and bathing in the sacred lake to maintain purity. They are not preaching to a congregation. They are caring for the god. They wake the statue of Amun-Ra, dress him, offer him food. They are keeping the engine of the universe running. There is a deep sense of permanence here. While other civilizations rose and fell, the Egyptian focus on the eternal cycles of the sky allowed their culture to endure for 3,000 years. They built for eternity because they believed in the eternal return. As you lie here, imagine you are drifting on that solar bark. The water of the sky is calm, the motion is smooth, there is no resistance. You are sailing from the day into the night, not with fear, but with the knowledge that the pilot of the boat knows the way. The stars above you are not strangers. They are the imperishable ones, the souls of the ancestors who have found their place in the pattern of the night. The desert wind settles. The palm trees along the Nile silhouette against the deepening indigo of the twilight. The world is quiet. The sun has entered the mountain of the west, and the vigil of the stars begins. We leave the Nile now. We let the current carry us north, across the great green sea, the Mediterranean. We are moving toward a land of jagged coastlines, scattered islands, and high snow-capped peaks. Here the sky is not a smooth, rhythmic cycle. Here the sky is a drama of thunder, passion, and intellect. We arrive in the rugged landscapes of ancient Greece. The contrast with Egypt is striking. There is no single great river here to organize life. Instead, the land is fragmented by mountains and divided by the sea. The weather is unpredictable. Storms roll in suddenly from the Aegean, crashing against the limestone cliffs. In this volatile environment, the sky god takes on a different character. He is not a distant dome or a cyclical traveler. He is a king. He is a father. We are tracing the legacy of the Indo-Europeans, a vast linguistic group that migrated across Europe and Asia. They brought with them a specific word for God, Deus Pater. This means sky father. In Sanskrit, it became Dios Pita. In Latin, Jupiter. In Greek, Zeus. Let us climb the slopes of Mount Olympus. It is a real place, a massif in northern Greece that rises almost 10,000 feet into the air. The peaks are often shrouded in clouds, hiding the summit from the valleys below. It is easy to see why the ancients believed the gods lived there. It is a place where the earth touches the sky. Zeus is the lord of this height. He is the cloud gatherer. Unlike the Egyptian Ra, whose power was the steady light of the sun, Zeus's power is the sudden, terrifying energy of the storm. He wields the thunderbolt, a weapon of pure light and fire. But to reduce Zeus to a weather reporter is to miss the point. To the Greeks, the sky represented the highest form of oversight. Because the sky covers everything, the sky god sees everything. Zeus became the god of justice, Dike, and the god of oaths. Imagine a Greek traveler walking alone on a mountain path. He is vulnerable. He relies on the kindness of strangers for survival. This concept is called xenia, guest friendship. Zeus was the protector of guests. If you turned a stranger away from your door, you were not just being rude, you were offending the sky god who watches all human interactions from his high vantage point. The Greek sky was also a storyboard. While the Babylonians looked at stars for data, the Greeks looked at them for stories. They projected their myths onto the constellations, creating a celestial picture book that we still read today. Look up at the night sky in your mind's eye. See the 3 stars of Orion's belt. To the Greeks, this was the great hunter, frozen in eternal pursuit. See the cluster of the Pleiades, the 7 sisters fleeing his advances. See the great bear, Callisto, circling the pole star, never allowed to bathe in the ocean, always awake, always watching. These stories served a purpose. They made the cold, dark void familiar. They humanized the heavens. The stars were not abstract nuclear furnaces. They were heroes, monsters, and victims, immortalized in light. As Greek civilization matured, their relationship with the sky evolved. We moved from the mythic age to the age of philosophy. We enter the streets of Athens in the 4th century BCE. The Parthenon sits atop the Acropolis, gleaming white against the blue sky. Here, thinkers like Plato and Aristotle began to look at the sky not as a playground for deities but as a masterpiece of geometry. They saw the planets not as wandering gods but as perfect spheres moving in perfect circles. They believed the universe was composed of nested crystalline spheres, like layers of an onion. The Earth was at the center, and the moon, sun, and planets were embedded in these invisible rotating shells. As these massive spheres spun, they believed they hummed. This is the concept of the music of the spheres. The ancients believed that the movement of the celestial bodies created a divine harmony, a sound so continuous and perfect that human ears, accustomed to noise, could not hear it. It was the background hum of existence. Imagine the serenity of this idea. The universe is not chaotic. It is a great orchestra, playing a song of mathematical perfection. Every star has its note. Every planet has its rhythm. The Greeks also gave us one of the most sophisticated pieces of ancient technology to track this dance: the Antikythera mechanism. Found in a shipwreck, this device of bronze gears was a mechanical computer. A user could turn a crank, and the gears would move pointers to show the position of the sun, moon, and planets for any date in the future. Think of the mind that built this. It suggests a deep desire to hold the sky in one's hand, to understand the clockwork of the heavens. Let us drift further west, to the heirs of the Greeks, the Romans. In Rome, the Sky Father became Jupiter, Optimus Maximus, Jupiter, the best and greatest. His temple stood on the Capitoline Hill, the heart of the empire. For the Romans, the sky was a space of communication. They practiced augury, the art of reading the will of the gods through the flight of birds. An augur would mark out a square of the sky with his staff. He would then watch. Did the birds fly from the left or the right? Were they eagles or vultures? The sky was a text. Before a Roman general went to war, before a law was passed, the sky had to be consulted. They believed that the state of the heavens directly influenced the state of the empire. As above, so below. There is a deep sense of responsibility in this worldview. It suggests that we are not isolated on this planet. We are part of a cosmic ecosystem. The actions of the sky affect the earth, and the prayers of the earth reach the sky. Now, let your mind rest on the image of the Pantheon in Rome. It is a temple to all the gods. Its most striking feature is the dome, the largest unreinforced concrete dome in history. At the very center of the dome is the oculus, a circular opening to the sky. It is the only source of light in the vast circular room. As the earth turns, the beam of sunlight moves across the interior walls, acting as a giant sundial. When it rains, the rain falls into the temple, draining away into the floor. Standing in the Pantheon, you are protected, yet connected. You are inside, yet open to the heavens. It is a perfect architectural meditation on the relationship between man and the sky. The noise of the forum outside is muffled by the thick walls. There is only the shaft of light, moving slowly, imperceptibly, marking the passing of time. Breathe in the cool air of the stone temple. Feel the stability of the columns. The sky is not a weight pressing down. It is a roof that lifts the spirit. We have seen the mathematical towers of Babylon, the golden boats of Egypt, and the stormy peaks of Greece. We have seen how the sky can be a father, a mother, a clock, and a king. But the story of the sky is not limited to the Mediterranean and the Middle East. Half a world away, across oceans that were yet to be crossed, other eyes were watching the same stars. In the dense jungles of the tropics and the high thin air of the Andes, the sky was revealing different secrets. The sun is setting on the Mediterranean. We follow the light west. We cross the Atlantic in the blink of an eye, drifting toward the Americas. The jungle canopy is thick below us. The call of the jaguar echoes in the twilight. Here the sky is a calendar of terrifying precision, and the planets are warriors. We have traveled far from the stone columns of Rome. We drift now across the vast, dark Atlantic, moving west until the smell of salt gives way to the scent of rich, damp earth and blooming orchids. We find ourselves in the humid embrace of the Mesoamerican jungle. The soundscape changes here. In the deserts of Egypt there was silence. In the mountains of Greece there was the wind. But here, in the lands of the Maya and the Aztec, the world is alive with sound. The call of the howler monkey echoes through the canopy like distant thunder. The hum of cicadas creates a vibrating curtain of noise. But look up. The canopy breaks, revealing a sky of startling intensity. The humidity in the air can make the stars twinkle violently. dancing in the dark. For the Maya, who built their white limestone cities in the forests of what is now Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize, the sky was not just a place of gods. It was a clock of infinite complexity. Imagine standing in the plaza of Chichen Itza or Tikal. It is night. The air is heavy and warm. The limestone pyramids rise out of the jungle like man-made mountains, their steps steep and narrow. To the Maya, the universe was a great tree, the saber tree, its roots dug deep into Xibalba, the underworld, a watery place of fright. Its trunk was the middle world where humans lived, and its branches reached up to hold the heavens. The Milky Way was often seen as this world tree, stretching across the night, a path of souls. But the Maya were perhaps the most obsessive sky watchers in human history. Without telescopes, using only crossed sticks to create a line of sight, they tracked the movements of celestial bodies with an accuracy that rivals modern astronomy. They were fascinated by Venus. In the Western tradition, we think of Venus as the goddess of love, soft and beautiful. But for the Maya, Venus, which they called Chak-ek, the great star, was a warrior. It was aggressive. It was the wasp star. The Maya noticed that Venus moves in a specific cycle of 584 days. It appears as the morning star, disappears behind the sun, reappears as the evening star, and vanishes again. They tracked this cycle with fanatical precision. In the Dresden Codex, one of the few bark paper books that survived the Spanish conquest, there are pages upon pages of tables predicting the exact position of Venus for centuries. Why? Because the movement of Venus determined the fate of kings. Wars were planned to coincide with the rising of Venus. When the planet climbed high in the pre-dawn sky, it was a signal. The cosmic order was shifting. Picture the El Caracol Observatory at Chichen Itza. It is a round building, unusual in Maya architecture, sitting on a square platform. It looks remarkably like a modern observatory dome. Inside, a spiral staircase, like the shell of a snail or caracol, leads to the upper chamber. Windows are cut into the stone walls. They are not placed for the view, they are placed for alignment. One window aligns perfectly with the northernmost setting position of Venus. Another aligns with the sunset on the equinox. Imagine a Maya astronomer priest sitting in that stone chamber alone in the dark. He is waiting. He knows the math. He knows that tonight the great star will appear in that precise square of window, and when it does, it confirms that the universe is working. The gears of time are turning. Time, for the Maya, was not a straight line like ours, moving from the past to the future. It was a circle, or rather a set of interlocking gears. They had the Hab, the solar year, and the Tzolkin, the sacred count. These two calendars ran together, like two wheels of different sizes turning against each other. Every 52 years they would return to the same starting point. This moment, the calendar round, was a time of great suspense. Would the world continue, or would the cycle break? Let us drift north now, out of the jungle and up into the high plateau of central Mexico. We arrive at the great city of Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztecs, or Mexica. The setting here is surreal. A massive city floating on an island in the middle of Lake Texcoco. Canals replace streets. Canoes glide silently through the mist. The air is thinner here, cooler than in the Maya lowlands. For the Aztecs, the sky was the source of a constant, terrifying anxiety. They believed that the sun was not eternal. They lived in the age of the fifth sun. 4 previous suns, and the worlds they illuminated, had been destroyed by jaguars, wind, rain, and water. Their sun god was Huitzilopochtli, the hummingbird of the south. He was a warrior who was born fully armed, fighting off the darkness. Every day, the Aztecs believed, the sun fought a battle as it traveled across the sky. It battled the moon and the stars, the forces of night, and this battle required energy. We often focus on the violence of Aztec religion, but tonight, let us focus on the philosophy behind it. It was a philosophy of reciprocity. The gods sacrificed themselves to create the world. Nanahuatzin, a humble god, threw himself into a fire to become the sun. Therefore, humans had to offer something back to keep the sun moving. It was a relationship of debt. The universe was a machine that needed fuel. The most famous symbol of this worldview is the Aztec sunstone. You have likely seen images of it, a massive round basalt disc 12 feet across, weighing 24 tons. Visualize it in detail. In the very center is the face of the sun god, Tonatiuh. His tongue is a flint knife, symbolizing the need for sacrifice. Around him are 4 square panels representing the 4 previous worlds that were destroyed. Encircling that is a ring of the 20 days of the Aztec month. And around that, fire serpents wrap the edge of the stone. This was not just a calendar. It was a model of the cosmos in stone. It was a heavy, permanent reminder that time is a burden, and it is our duty to carry it. But let us step back from the stone and look at the daily life under the sky. Imagine you're an Aztec farmer tending to a chinampa, a floating garden on the lake. The water is calm. The willow trees planted at the edges of your plot rustle in the breeze. You are growing maize, beans, and squash. You look up at the sky. It is a brilliant, hard blue. You feel a deep sense of connection to it. You know that the priests in the Templo Mayor, the great pyramid in the center of the city, are doing their work. They are drumming, they are chanting, they are offering incense. Because they are doing their job, the sun continues to rise. Because the sun rises, your corn grows. Because your corn grows, you can feed your family. There is no separation between religion, astronomy, and agriculture. It is all one system. As the sun begins to set over the mountains surrounding the Valley of Mexico, painting the snow-capped volcanoes in shades of pink and purple, you feel a sense of relief. Huitzilopochtli has won another day. The darkness will come, but the warrior sun will return. The night falls over Tenochtitlan. The torches are lit along the causeways. The stars reflect in the black waters of the lake, creating a city that floats between 2 skies, one above and one below. The profound complexity of the Mesoamerican mind teaches us that the sky is not just a backdrop. It is a clock, a story, and a responsibility. We leave the floating gardens now. We travel south, tracing the spine of the continent. We leave the humidity of the tropics behind and ascend. We climb higher than we have ever been before. The air grows thin and cold. The sky turns a deep, dark violet. We are entering the realm of the Inca. We are now in the Andes Mountains of South America. The landscape here is vertical. Terraced fields climb steep slopes like green staircases. Snow-capped peaks pierce the clouds, reaching altitudes where humans struggle to breathe. Here, in the 15th century, the Inca built the largest empire in the pre-Columbian Americas, Tawantinsuyu, the land of the 4 quarters. The sky in the high Andes is different. Because of the altitude, the atmosphere is thin. There is less air to scatter the sunlight. The result is a sky of intense clarity. The sun hits you with a physical weight, warming your skin instantly even while the air remains freezing. It is no surprise, then, that the Inca worshipped the sun above all else. They called him Inti. Inti was not an abstract deity. He was the divine ancestor. The Sapa Inca, the emperor, was considered the son of the sun. To look at the emperor was to look at a reflection of the god. Let us travel to Cusco, the navel of the world, the capital of the empire. The city was laid out in the shape of a puma. At the heart of the puma lay the Coricancha, the golden enclosure. Close your eyes and try to imagine the Coricancha as it was before the conquest. It was perhaps the most magnificent temple in the Americas. The walls were made of perfectly fitted stone, andesite blocks cut with such precision that not even a blade of grass could fit between them. There was no mortar, the stones held together by their own weight and geometry. But it was the decoration that stunned the senses. A band of solid gold a yard wide encircled the exterior walls. When the Andean sun struck this gold, the temple must have glowed like a star brought down to earth. Inside there was a garden. But this was no ordinary garden. It was a garden of gold and silver. There were stalks of corn made of silver with ears of gold. There were life-sized llamas and shepherds cast in precious metal. It was a reproduction of the natural world in the medium of the sun's sweat, gold, and the moon's tears, silver. In the main sanctuary, a massive golden disk representing Inti faced the rising sun. At the summer solstice, the first rays of dawn would shoot through a window and illuminate the disk, filling the room with blinding light. The Inca relationship with the sky was about tethering. They wanted to tie the celestial powers to the earth. This brings us to the Intihuatana. Let us float down the Urubamba Valley, to the cloud forest, to the granite citadel of Machu Picchu. Perched on a knife-edge ridge surrounded by vertical drops, this city is a marvel of engineering. At the highest point of the city stands a carved stone pillar. It is not large, but it is elegant, rising from the natural bedrock. This is the Intihuatana. The name literally means the hitching post of the sun. The Inca astronomers feared that the sun in its annual journey might drift too far away. During the winter solstice, which is June in the southern hemisphere, the sun is at its lowest point in the sky. It rises late and sets early. The days are short. The cold is biting. The priests would hold a ceremony at the Intihuatana. They would symbolically tie the sun to the stone post to prevent it from wandering off into the darkness forever. They were anchoring the source of life to the rock of the earth. The Andean constellations were also unique. Most cultures connect the dots, the bright stars, to make pictures. The Inca did this too. They saw a cross, the Southern Cross, and others. But they also looked at the darkness. Look at the Milky Way from a place with no light pollution. It looks like a river of milk, but it has dark patches, clouds of interstellar dust that block the starlight. The Incas saw animals in these dark patches. They saw a llama. They saw a baby llama suckling. They saw a partridge, a toad, and a snake. These were the dark cloud constellations. They believed that the Milky Way, the Mayu, was a celestial river. It was the reflection of the Vilcanota River on Earth. They believed the river drew up moisture from the earth, transported it across the sky, and returned it as rain. The celestial llama was associated with the rains. If the llama didn't appear, the rains wouldn't come. The sky was a hydraulic system. It was part of the water cycle. The Inca also organized their land based on the sky. Radiating out from the Coricancha in Cusco were 41 invisible lines called seques. These lines stretched to the horizon. Along these lines were hundreds of huacas, sacred shrines. A huaca could be a rock, a spring, a cave, or a tree. Each family group was responsible for caring for the shrines on their line. The entire landscape was a calendar and a map. By watching where the sun rose or set in relation to these lines and shrines, they knew exactly when to plant potatoes and when to harvest corn. Imagine the silence of the Andes at night. You are wrapped in a blanket of alpaca wool. The air is so crisp it feels brittle. The mountains around you are black silhouettes against a sky crowded with stars. You see the great llama in the Milky Way, its dark eyes watching over the herds in the valley below. You feel the presence of the apis, the spirits of the mountains. They are the earth gods, and they converse with the sky gods. There is a profound sense of balance here. The Inca concept of Aini means reciprocity. You give to the earth, and the earth gives to you. You honor the sun, and the sun warms the seed. The stone walls of Machu Picchu still stand today, enduring earthquakes and centuries of rain. They stand as a testament to a people who did not just look up at the sky, but sought to bring it down, to plate it in gold, and to tie it to the mountain peaks. Breathe in the thin, pure air. Feel the solidity of the granite beneath you. The sun has been hitched. The cycle is secure. We have traveled the globe, from the flat plains of Sumer to the vertical heights of the Andes. We have seen how humanity has always looked up to find meaning. But there is one more stop on our journey. We must leave the continents behind entirely. We must travel to the vastest emptiness on Earth, the Pacific Ocean. Here the sky was not just a calendar or a god, it was a map. It was the only thing that stood between life and being lost in the endless blue. We leave the solid Earth behind entirely now. We drift away from the granite peaks of the Andes and the limestone pyramids of the jungle. We move west, into the blue. Imagine you are suspended in the center of the largest physical feature on our planet, the Pacific Ocean. To the ancestors of the Polynesians, this was Te Moana Nui a Kiwa, the great ocean of Kiwa. It covers 1/3 of the Earth's surface. It is a vastness so profound that it defies the imagination. Here, there are no landmarks. There are no mountains to guide you, no coastlines to follow. There is only the rolling swell of the deep ocean and the dome of the sky. Yet, thousands of years before European sailors dared to venture out of sight of land, Polynesian navigators were crossing thousands of miles of open water with pinpoint accuracy. They settled a triangle of islands stretching from Hawaii in the north to New Zealand, Aotearoa in the south, and Rapa Nui, Easter Island, in the east. How did they find tiny specks of land in such an infinite expanse of water? They looked up. To the Polynesian navigator, the sky was not a mystery. It was a map. It was a grid. Imagine you are on a vaka, a double-hulled voyaging canoe. It is night. The canoe is carved from great trees, lashed together with coconut fiber ropes. There are no nails. The wood flexes and groans softly with the movement of the waves. The sails, woven from pandanus leaves, catch the trade winds with a gentle rustle. You are sitting near the stern. The navigator, the master of the vessel, sits quietly. He does not sleep. He is in a state of deep meditative awareness. He does not use a magnetic compass or a sextant. He uses a star compass. Visualize the horizon around you as a perfect circle, 360 degrees. The navigator has memorized the rising and setting points of hundreds of stars. He knows that Aldebaran rises in the east-northeast. He knows that the Southern Cross points the way south. He steers the canoe by aligning the bow with a specific rising star. But the Earth turns. The star rises and moves higher in the sky. As it moves too high to steer by, he switches to the next star rising behind it. He is following a star path. This is a mental feat of staggering complexity. The navigator must keep a mental map of the sky in his head, adjusting constantly as the night progresses. He is playing a game of geometry with the universe. But the sky provided more than just direction. It provided latitude. The navigators knew that specific stars passed directly overhead, at the zenith of specific islands. Hokulea, the star we call Arcturus, is the zenith star of Hawaii. If you sail north until Arcturus is directly above your mast at midnight, you know you are on the latitude of Hawaii. Then, you simply sail west, down the highway of that latitude, until you see the mountain peaks rise from the sea. The relationship with the sky here was intimate. In Polynesian mythology, the sky father is Rangi, or Ranginui, and the earth mother is Papa, or Papatuanuku. In the beginning, Rangi and Papa were locked in a tight embrace. The sky lay flat upon the earth. There was no light, and their children, the gods of the forest, the sea, and the wind, were trapped in the darkness between their bodies. It was Tane, the god of the forest, who finally pushed them apart. He planted his head on his mother earth and pushed his feet against his father sky. With a mighty effort he separated them, allowing light, Te Ao, to flood the world. But Rangi and Papa still love each other. When it rains, it is said to be Rangi's tears falling for his separated wife. When the mist rises from the ground in the morning, it is Papa's sigh rising to her husband. This story tells us that the space between earth and sky, the atmosphere, the biosphere, is a sacred clearing created for life. On the open ocean, the navigator feels this connection. He enters a trance state. He feels the ocean swell, the heartbeat of the sea, through the hull of the canoe. He watches the bioluminescence flashing in the wake, mirroring the Milky Way above. To these voyagers, the canoe was not moving through the water. In their conceptual framework, the canoe was stationary. The navigator pulled the islands toward him by moving the sky and the sea past the hull. It was the world that moved. The navigator was the still center. Think of the peace in that idea. You are not fighting the distance. You are not anxiously rushing toward a destination. You are simply holding your position in the center of the circle, letting the stars rotate, waiting for the island to arrive. The wind is warm. The salt spray is refreshing on your skin. The only sound is the water rushing between the twin hulls, a white noise that has lulled travelers to sleep for 3 millennia. There is no light pollution here. The center of the galaxy casts a shadow on the deck. You are floating in a bowl of stars. The great cloud of Magellan hangs in the south. The 7 little eyes, the Pleiades, watch from the north. You are safe. The ancestors have sailed this path before you. The stars are the same stars that guided them. The ocean is the same ocean. You are part of a lineage of courage and knowledge that stretches back to the dawn of time. Allow the gentle rocking of the canoe to soothe you. Up, down, a rhythm as old as the tides. You are suspended between the deep waters below and the deep heavens above. We have traveled a great distance tonight. We stood on the flat plains of Sumer, watching the ziggurats rise like stairways to the gods. We sailed the Nile with Ra, protected by the star-studded body of the goddess Nut. We climbed the stormy peaks of Mount Olympus to hear the thunder of Zeus. We trekked through the steaming jungles of the Maya to watch Venus rise as a warrior. We ascended the breathless heights of the Andes to tie the sun to the earth. And finally, we drifted across the endless Pacific, guided by the silent geometry of the stars. As we reach the end of our journey, let us reflect on what connects all these disparate people, separated by oceans and millennia. They all looked up. No matter where humans have lived, no matter what language they spoke, they all felt a need to find order in the chaos of the night sky. They all sensed that there was something above them, something vast, permanent, and beautiful, that held the secrets of existence. To the ancients, the sky was never just empty space. It was a canvas, a script, a clock, a family, a government, and a map. It was the celestial weave, a fabric that connected the planting of a seed in the ground to the movement of a planet millions of miles away. Today, in our modern world, we often lose this connection. Our cities are awash in artificial light. The stars are drowned out by the glow of street lamps and screens. We rarely look up with the same sense of awe and necessity. But the sky is still there. The stars that Marduk organized, the sun that Inti hitched, the constellations that guided the Polynesian canoes. They are all still there, turning silently, patiently, above your roof. The ancient sky gods may have faded into mythology, but the feeling they represented, the feeling of being part of a larger cosmic system, is something we can still access. So, as you lie here now, close your eyes fully. Visualize the roof above you dissolving. Imagine the ceiling fading away, revealing the velvet depth of the night sky. Picture the North Star, steady and true. Picture the band of the Milky Way, a river of light flowing across the darkness. Picture the moon, a silent sentinel reflecting the sun's light. Feel the rotation of the earth. It is slow, gentle, imperceptible. You are riding a planet that is drifting through a sea of stars. You are safe. You are grounded. You are watched over by the same infinite canopy that watched over the pharaohs and the emperors. Let the worries of your day drift away like clouds. They are small. The sky is big. The sky is eternal. Your breathing is slow and deep, in and out, like the tide, like the rising and setting of the sun. The gods of the sky are at rest. The winds have settled. The storm has passed. There is only the quiet conquest of the night. Sleep now, under the blanket of the stars. Drift into the dream time, carried by the solar bark, guided by the star compass, held in the arms of the Sky Mother. Good night.